Imagine a dog in a modest living room. It is a good dog, loyal and soft, waiting on the rug. The owner enters, and the atmosphere shifts instantly. The owner is frustrated, perhaps from a bad day, or perhaps simply because he enjoys the sensation of dominance. He shouts. The sound is sudden and sharp, cracking through the quiet air like a gunshot. He grabs the dog by the scruff of the neck, shaking it violently. He strikes the animal once, hard enough to elicit a yelp of genuine pain and confusion. The dog cowers, pressing its belly into the floor, urinating slightly in terror. Its world has collapsed. The source of its food, its shelter, its very survival has turned into a source of death. The dog trembles, waiting for the next blow, eyes wide and rolling. But the blow does not come. Instead, the owner's demeanor changes. The rage evaporates, replaced by a sudden, terrifying tenderness. He kneels. He strokes the dog's trembling head. He speaks in a low, soothing coo. "It's okay," he says. "I'm here. You're safe." He pulls the dog into an embrace, rubbing the spot he just struck. The dog does not run away. It does not bite. Instead, it leans into the hand that just hit it. It licks the fingers that caused the pain. The dog's heart rate slows, not because it is free, but because the threat has decided to become the savior. The relief is so profound, so chemical, that it overrides the memory of the violence. The dog feels an intense rush of gratitude. It loves the owner more in this moment than it did an hour ago. This is the mechanism of ownership. It is not established by the chain or the fence. It is established by the cycle of terror and rescue. The owner creates the fear, and the owner provides the only escape from that fear. The dog learns a fundamental biological lesson. Pain comes from the master, but safety also comes from the master. To survive the master, one must be close to the master. This is how loyalty is forged in fire. It is not love. It is a survival strategy masquerading as affection. And you, sitting there listening to this, you believe you are different from the dog. You believe you are too smart, too independent, too human to fall for such a simple biological trick. But you are wrong. This dynamic is the blueprint for almost every significant relationship in your life, from the way you earn your money, to the way you love your partner, to the way you relate to the society that governs you. You are constantly being hit and then hugged, and you have learned to call the hugging care when you should be calling it ownership. The first place you encounter this sophisticated trap is not in a dungeon, but in the brightly lit, air-conditioned environment where you spend the majority of your waking life. Consider your employment. You are told that your job is a blessing, an opportunity, a family. You are encouraged to feel grateful for the position, but look closely at the mechanics of the exchange. The modern economy is designed to keep you in a state of precarious survival. The cost of living is calibrated to match or slightly exceed the average wage, ensuring that you never accumulate enough resources to truly opt out of the system. This is the strike. The threat of homelessness, of hunger, of social irrelevance is the hand grabbing you by the scruff of the neck. The market strikes you with the fear of destitution. It shows you the people sleeping in tents under the overpass and says, "This is what happens when you don't please me." You live with a low-level, chronic cortisol spike. A background hum of anxiety that you could lose everything if you miss a few paychecks. This is the harm. It is invisible, structural harm, but it is as potent as a physical blow. It keeps you cowed. It keeps you watching the door. Then comes the care. Your employer offers you a salary. They offer you health insurance. They offer you a 401k match. On Friday, when the direct deposit hits your account, you feel a wash of relief. You feel safe. You can pay the rent. You can buy groceries. You can go to the doctor. You look at your employer and you feel gratitude. You think, "Thank God I have this job." You feel loyal to the company that takes care of you. But you are missing the circular logic. The employer is not saving you from a natural disaster. They are saving you from a threat that they participate in creating. The economic system requires your desperation to function. If you weren't afraid of starving, you wouldn't endure the commute, the disrespect, the boredom, or the erasure of your time. Your boss is the person holding the leash. They validate your existence with a paycheck that only solves the problems caused by the fact that you need money to exist. The relief you feel on payday is the dog licking the hand. You are grateful for the antidote, forgetting that they are the ones administering the poison. You mistake the cessation of the threat for the presence of love. You believe that because they provide the means of your survival, they care about your survival. They do not. They care about your utility. The moment your utility drops below the cost of your maintenance, the care vanishes, and you are left alone with the harm. But as long as you are useful, they will pet you, and you will stay, convinced that this transaction is a form of safety. This dynamic becomes even more insidious when we move from the transactional world of money to the emotional world of romantic relationships. Here, the stakes are not just survival, but sanity. We are taught that love is a sanctuary, a safe harbor in a storm. But for many, the relationship is both the storm and the harbor. Consider the partner who operates through emotional volatility. This is not always the cliché of the screaming abuser. It is often much quieter. It is the partner who withdraws affection unpredictably. One day they are warm, present, and loving. The next, they are cold, distant, and critical. You ask what is wrong, and they say nothing with a tone that implies everything is wrong. They create a vacuum of insecurity. They make you feel that you have failed, that you are unlovable, that you are on the verge of being abandoned. This is the strike. It triggers your primal fear of isolation. You scramble to fix it. You apologize for things you didn't do. You try to be better, quieter, more attractive, more compliant. You live in a state of hypervigilance, reading their microexpressions, trying to predict the weather of their mood. You are the dog pressing its belly to the floor. And then, the shift happens. They decide to forgive you. They decide to come back. They smile. They touch your arm. They bring you a gift or offer a compliment. The relief is intoxicating. The make-up sex is passionate. The return of their affection feels like a drug high because it is contrasted against the terrible low of their withdrawal. In that moment of reconciliation, you feel closer to them than ever before. You feel seen. You feel saved. You tell your friends, "It's intense, but they really love me. We have a deep connection." You do not have a deep connection. You have a trauma bond. You are addicted to the cycle. You are addicted to the rush of being rescued from the anxiety that they created. A healthy relationship is a flat line of consistency, which to you, conditioned by this cycle, feels boring. You crave the spike. You mistake the intensity of the pain relief cycle for the intensity of passion. You are being owned. Your emotional stability is held entirely in their hands. They possess the keys to your happiness because they also possess the weapons of your misery. You stay because you believe that no one else can soothe you like they can, forgetting that no one else hurts you like they do. Escalate this now. Move from the partner to the parent. This is where the programming is installed. This is the root directory of the software. A child is biologically mandated to attach to their caregiver. They have no choice. To detach is to die. When a parent uses the harm care cycle, they are not just owning the child's behavior, they are owning the child's reality. Consider the parent who is overwhelmed, perhaps a narcissist, perhaps just damaged. They scream at the child. They blame the child for their own stress. "You make me so angry," they shout. "I do everything for you, and you are so ungrateful." They terrify the child with the sheer scale of their adult rage. The child feels like a monster, a burden, a mistake. The child cries, desperate to be good, desperate to be wanted. Then the parent calms down. The parent feels guilty. They swoop in. "I'm sorry. I just love you so much. I just want the best for you. Come here." They hug the child. They buy them ice cream. The child learns a terrible lesson. I am bad, but my parent is good enough to forgive me. The child learns that safety is something that must be earned through submission. The child learns that love is the reward for enduring abuse. This child grows up with a deep, unrecognized belief that if they are not suffering, they are not really being loved. They seek out bosses and partners who replicate this dynamic because it feels like home. They feel uncomfortable with kindness that doesn't follow cruelty. It feels suspicious. It feels fake. They crave the authenticity of the erratic owner. The parent has owned the child's future by breaking their internal compass. The child no longer knows which way is north. They only know which way is the master. This ownership lasts long after the child has left the house. It manifests in the phone calls where you seek approval from the very person who destroys your self-esteem. It manifests in the guilt you feel when you set a boundary. You are still the dog waiting for the hand to stop hitting and start petting, believing that the petting is the only thing that matters. Now, zoom out to the largest scale. Look at the society you live in. Look at the state, the government, the ultimate owner. The structure of modern governance is built almost entirely on the protection racket model. A protection racket is a criminal enterprise where a gang threatens a shopkeeper with violence and then demands payment to protect the shopkeeper from that violence. The state operates on a more sophisticated version of this. The state and the media apparatus constantly bombard you with threats. They tell you that the world is full of terrorists, criminals, foreign enemies, and moral decay. They curate a feed of constant danger. If you are not careful, they say, you will be killed, robbed, or replaced. They maintain a monopoly on the narrative of fear. They make you feel small, vulnerable, and surrounded by wolves. This is the strike. This is the shaking by the scruff of the neck. Then, they offer the solution. They offer the police. They offer the military. They offer the surveillance state. Give us your liberty, they say, and we will give you safety. Let us watch your emails. Let us patrol your streets. Let us lock up the bad people, and you will be safe. And you agree. You vote for the strong man. You support the harsh laws. You feel a sense of relief when you see the uniform, believing it stands for order. You feel gratitude toward the state for keeping the chaos at bay. You do not stop to ask if the state benefits from the chaos. You do not ask if the conditions that create crime, poverty, desperation, inequality are maintained by the very system that promises to protect you from the criminal. You are the citizen dog, terrified of the outside world, grateful for the fence that keeps you in. You are owned by your fear, and the state holds the deed to that fear. They have convinced you that the only alternative to their control is annihilation. You confuse supervision with care. You confuse containment with safety. You are grateful to the jailer because he keeps the other prisoners away from you, forgetting that you are in the cell with them. The tragedy of this condition is that it is self-sustaining. Once you have been broken by this cycle by the parent, the school, the job, the lover, you begin to do it to yourself. You become your own owner. You internalize the abuser. You no longer need the external hand to strike you. You strike yourself. You punish yourself with negative self-talk. You deprive yourself of rest. You drive yourself to the brink of burnout. You tell yourself you are lazy, stupid, worthless. You create the crisis within your own mind. And then you self-soothe. You binge eat. You scroll for hours. You buy things you don't need. You drink. You use these behaviors as the care to numb the pain you inflicted on yourself. You become a closed loop of harm and relief. You own yourself, but not in the way of freedom. You own yourself in the way a tyrant owns a serf. You extract value from your own suffering. You do not know how to be gentle with yourself because gentleness without prior punishment feels unearned. You cannot just rest, you must be exhausted first. You cannot just eat, you must be starving first. You cannot just feel good, you must feel bad first. This is why freedom feels so terrifying. This is why, when people are given a chance to escape these dynamics, they often run back to them. Freedom is a vast, open plain. There is no one there to hit you, but there is also no one there to tell you everything is going to be okay. In freedom, you are responsible for your own safety. You are responsible for your own regulation. That responsibility is heavy. It is paralyzing. The cage, for all its cruelty, is predictable. You know the rules of the cage. You know that if you cower, you might get a treat. In the wild, there are no treats. There is only what you hunt. The dog on the rug, if you opened the door and told it to go, would likely hesitate. It would look at the master. It would look at the cold, dark street, and it would choose the rug. It would choose the known pain over the unknown void. We are attracted to the cage because the cage simplifies existence. It reduces life to a binary. Please the master, survive. Displease the master, suffer. This binary strips away the agonizing complexity of moral agency. If you are owned, you don't have to decide what is right or wrong. You only have to decide what is compliant. There is a deep, dark comfort in submission. It is the comfort of the infant. It is the comfort of the soldier. It is the comfort of the fanatic. It dissolves the burden of the self. To be cared for in this way is to be relieved of the burden of being a person. You become an object, a pet, a dependent. And objects do not have to worry about the future. Objects are kept, objects are stored. Objects are maintained. The psychological trap is that you believe your loyalty is a virtue. You tell yourself, I am a loyal employee. I am a devoted partner. I am a patriotic citizen. You frame your submission as a moral choice. You frame your endurance of pain as strength. I can take it, you think. I am strong enough to handle this. You wear your scars like medals. But they are not medals. They are receipts. They are the proof of purchase. You are proud of how much you can endure for the sake of the person or system that hurts you, not realizing that your endurance is exactly what keeps the system running. Your capacity to suffer is their greatest asset. If you stopped enduring, the machine would break, but you won't stop. Because you have conflated suffering with love. You believe that the more it hurts, the more it means. Consider the concept of golden handcuffs in the corporate world. It is an explicit admission of this dynamic. They pay you enough that you cannot leave, but not enough that you are free. They give you a title, a corner office, a leased car. These are the toys in the cage. You play with them, and you feel important. But try to leave. Try to use that car to drive away from the ideology of the firm. Try to use that money to fund a competitor. You will see how quickly the care turns back into harm. You will see the teeth behind the smile, the non-compete clauses, the reputation smearing, the sudden withdrawal of access. The ownership is absolute. The care is conditional. The condition is your total surrender. And the most disturbing part is that you defend the owner. If someone points out the abuse, you get angry at the messenger. You don't understand, you say. He's under a lot of pressure. The company is going through a hard time. The government is doing its best. You become the guard dog for your own prison. You attack the people who are trying to show you the door. This is the final stage of ownership. The internalization of the master's worldview. You view the world through their eyes. You value what they value. You despise what they despise. You have merged. There is no longer a distinct you to be saved. There is only the extension of the owner's will. To recognize this is to stare into an abyss. It requires you to admit that much of your life has been a lie. It requires you to admit that the love you felt was manipulation, that the safety you felt was containment, that the loyalty you felt was fear. It is a humiliation. It is a devastation. It feels like dying. And so, most people do not do it. They turn away from the realization. They bury it under noise and distraction. They double down on the gratitude. They post on social media about how blessed they are. They thank the master louder and louder, hoping to drown out the whimper in their own throats. But the whimper is there. It is in the insomnia. It is in the sudden bursts of rage in traffic. It is in the hollow feeling in your chest on Sunday evening. It is in the inability to be alone with your thoughts. It is the part of you that knows, deep down, that you are not a person, but a resource. It is the part of you that remembers the strike, even while you are enjoying the stroke. You are the dog on the rug. The door is unlocked. The master is asleep. The night is quiet. But you stay. You watch the chest of the man who hurts you rise and fall. You wait for him to wake up. You wait for him to tell you who you are. Because without him, without the pain he inflicts and the relief he provides, you are terrified that you are nothing at all.